I caught my neighbor poisoning my dog, so I installed cameras and waited. When Max started getting sick every Thursday night, I thought it was just a weird coincidence. He's a 3-year-old German Shepherd with a stomach of steel minus this dog once ate half a baseball glove and didn't even get the runs. But suddenly, like clockwork, he'd wake me up around 2 a.m. vomiting and shaking the first time I rushed him to the emergency vet. $600 later, they said it was likely something he ate and sent us home with meds. The second time, same diagnosis. By the third Thursday, I was suspicious. It's always the same day, I told the vet, and always after he's been in the backyard in the evening. The vet ran more tests. This time, they found traces of antifreeze in his system, not enough to kill him, but enough to make him violently ill. Kerman was deliberately poisoning my dog. I live in a quiet suburban neighborhood where people bring each other casseroles when someone dies. My immediate neighbors are Claire and Richard on the left, minus a retired couple who lived there for 30 years and bring Max treats. On the right is Dennis, minus a single guy in his 40s who moved in 8 months ago. Dennis has complained about Max barking exactly once when a delivery truck backfired, and Max went nuts for about 10 minutes. I went to the police, but they said without proof there wasn't much they could do. Install cameras, the officer suggested, and keep your dog inside as much as possible. So I did. I bought 4 cameras and set them up around my yard. I also started keeping Max inside on Thursdays, taking him for extra long walks instead. For 2 weeks, nothing happened then. Last Thursday, I decided to set a trap. I put Max's food and water bowls outside like normal, but kept him safely inside. At 7:45 p.m., my phone buzzed with a camera alert. Dennis was leaning over my fence, pouring something into Max's water bowl. I watched the footage in real time, my hands shaking with rage. Then I did something I'm not proud of. I waited. I didn't confront him immediately. I didn't call the police right away. I wanted more evidence for the next week. I set up more cameras, minus one, pointed directly at Max's water bowl. I bought a dummy dog that looked similar to Max from a distance and positioned it in the yard at strategic times. Every day, nothing happened. Then Thursday came again. At almost the exact same time, 7:43 p.m., Dennis approached the fence. This time, my camera caught everything in perfect HDD. Him looking around to make sure no one was watching, pulling a small bottle from his pocket, and carefully adding drops to Max's water. I called the police immediately. They arrived within minutes and reviewed the footage. When they knocked on Dennis's door, I stood back and watched from my porch. They found the bottle in his kitchen, antifreeze, mixed with beef broth in an eyedropper bottle. Met it to make a dog sick, but not enough to kill it immediately. They also found something I wasn't expecting, a journal detailing his experiments with various neighborhood pets dating back 3 years. Dennis wasn't just targeting Max, he'd been systematically poisoning animals throughout the neighborhood, staying just under the lethal dose, documenting their symptoms like some twisted science project. When they brought him out in handcuffs, he looked at me and said something I'll never forget: "They're just animals." I wasn't hurting anyone important. The detective later told me that Dennis had lost his research position at a pharmaceutical company 3 years ago for ethics violations. He'd been rejected for animal testing roles at several labs, so he created his own backyard laboratory using neighborhood pets. 2 other families came forward after his arrest, saying their cats had experienced mysterious illnesses that eventually led to kidney failure. They hadn't suspected foul play, just bad luck. The vet bills had been devastating, and one family had ultimately put their cat to sleep because they couldn't afford the ongoing treatment. Last week, Dennis pled guilty to animal cruelty charges. The judge gave him the maximum sentence, minus 2 years in prison. His house is already up for sale. Max is completely healthy now, but I still don't leave him outside unattended. The cameras stay up. The treats he gets come only from my hand. Sometimes at night, I look at the footage from that Thursday, minus not the poisoning,